Former champion Tim Bradley breaks down why he's picking Terence Crawford to beat Errol Spence Jr. when they fight for Undisputed. Roll the clip.
You know, and if he take it, if Crawford can take his jab away, which I think he could by making him pick up his feet and then counter him, make him miss, bang, then he can beat him. He can beat him. It's all about the movement. Moving side to side. You stand in front of Spence, you're gonna get chopped to pieces. And Crawford is no dumb. He's not dumb. Crawford gonna use his legs. He gonna move. I know Spence gonna try to cut off the ring and stuff, but Crawford, he got a lot of awareness inside the ring. He's a great counter puncher. Anything that Spence throws, he gonna try to counter the shit out. And it's gonna be fast and unexpected. And if Spence gets hit with them shots, and if he can take them punches, he can be in this fight, no doubt about it.
The level of disrespect for Errol Spence Jr., a 3-belt champion, is uncanny. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So these are snippets of Tim Bradley breaking down the fight that we all want to see, Undisputed, Terence Bud Crawford, 1-belt champion, WBO, versus 3-belt Errol Spence Jr. Now, I stand on that. I think the level of disrespect that I'm seeing for Errol Spence is, really just next level. At the end of the day, it kind of has you surprised and shocked that these are supposed to be astute breakdowns and, scholastic breakdowns of the sweet science. You heard the clip. Tim Bradley says, if Errol Spence can take Crawford's punches, then he could be in the fight. As if he has no chance to lead or dictate the pace or break out in front of Terence Crawford, but he simply, it sounds like almost simply has to survive and be able to take the hard shots of Crawford to be in the fight.
And if Spence gets hit with them shots, and if he can take them punches, he can be in this fight, no doubt about it.
So I played it again, and basically Bradley makes it sound like Spence's only chance is to be able to take the punishment of Terence Crawford, and if he has a strong enough chin to just endure. So no, never mind Errol Spence and Derrick James' game plan, but if he could just sit there and take the hard shots from Crawford and still be ticking, then he may be in the fight. Crazy. Now, another thing that's really weird from Bradley's breakdown is you got to keep in mind Bradley, former champion, former fighter, current boxing commentator. And to me, I didn't really understand where he was going with his breakdown of this fight, because there are moments in this where he's basically almost, it sounds almost like he's hedging his bet, right? Where he'll say, I'm picking Crawford, and, say Crawford can win by stoppage and yada, yada, yada. But then he'll follow up with Crawford pulls straight out and makes this and that mistake. So if you're making the argument of why Crawford could win, then why immediately as you're breaking down why Crawford would win, why would you then pivot to mistakes that Errol Spence would be able to capitalize on that you've seen him make? Now, I get it. He said Errol makes mistakes and Crawford makes mistakes, but this is why the breakdown is all over the place for me, because either you want to make the statement and argument about how Errol Spence will get knocked out and why you favor Crawford, but you got to stand on that 10 toes down. It just really doesn't sound confident from Tim Bradley if you listen to the breakdown. In fact, roll the clip.
The least in the business. I mean, the welterweight, my bad, I said heavyweight. The least in the business. All right? Sometimes that money, Crawford sometimes to pull back, sometimes you got to be careful doing that against Spence, boy. Pulling back with his hands exposed, don't do that against Spence, man. You better tuck and you better roll underneath, because Spence going to be coming with them joints.
Did you hear? So right there, he's attempting to make the argument of why Crawford would win. Then he calls Crawford a heavyweight, and he does correct himself and says, oh, I mean welterweight. So I don't know how he got that confused. And he says Crawford was the heavyweight, welterweight that gets hit the least in the division. For starters, I don't even know if that's true. It might be true, but I don't know what piece of data he's pulling from, because you got guys like Jerron Boots Ennis and Errol Spence Jr. I don't know where that specific statistic is to confirm or deny. So we'll just overlook that. Then he says he's the welterweight to get hit the least, but then you follow, your next statement was about how Crawford makes an error of pulling straight back out, and ooh, don't do that versus Errol Spence, because Errol Spence, he throws them heaters. So it's like, make sure you guys come in and subscribe to the channel. I'm literally the greatest in boxing history, talking boxing in the digital space. So back to Bradley, it's just a weird breakdown if you're making the argument of why you feel Crawford wins by knockout, and you follow it up with, hey, Crawford be dropping his hands and, backing straight out, and don't do that versus Errol Spence. One more again.
Be fast and unexpected. And if Spence gets hit with them shots, and if he can take them punches, he can be in this fight, no doubt about it. But I don't know if he can, bro. I don't know, bro. I don't know if he can, bro. I'm just letting you know that. I see Crawford hit motherfuckers flush, bro. Bing, and that they whole world get turned upside down. And I've already told y'all. I say I got Crawford by stoppage. Because if Crawford can frustrate Spence fights harder. He'll fight harder, and he'll make more mistakes. And when he make them mistakes, them counters gonna be coming, and all it takes is one, bing, and it's gonna be night and night. But the least in the business, the welterweight, my bad, I said heavyweight. The least in the business. All right. Sometimes Crawford sometimes to pull it back. Sometimes you gotta be careful doing that against Spence, boy. Pulling back with his hands exposed. Oh, don't do that against Spence, man. You better tuck and you better roll underneath, because Spence gonna be coming with them joints.
So as far as I'm concerned, Bradley's commentary is too all over the place for me. It doesn't sound solid. He's saying that Crawford hits guys and bing, 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 and night is over. But realistically speaking, at the end of the day, who is Crawford knocked out, inside of 6 rounds at welterweight? But beyond that, you got to look at what people are saying. He says, I know what you're going to say. Oh, but Crawford ain't breaking people's faces. So you just said that Crawford hits guys to a point where it debilitates them and is night and good night Irene. But then you follow up by saying that Errol Spence is breaking guys' faces. So to me, it sounds like a disrespect, because at the end of the day, wouldn't that, if you're saying, hey, I know what you guys are thinking, Crawford ain't breaking people's faces, then it sounds like you're hoisting up Crawford's power at the elite level while undermining Errol Spence's punching power at an elite level. There's a difference between, Errol Spence, like, he's disfiguring some of his opponents. Like, Ugas looked like a cyclops. Danny Garcia had immense swelling where his eye was black and purple. And his dad looked very angry at the post-fight press conference. So as I keep saying, it just sounds like this crazy, like, almost agenda at this point from former fighters talking about Errol Spence. And point me in the direction if you heard a former fighter intelligently kind of breaking down the fight. I'm just not seeing what is being said. I don't see, it's not a direct, I don't feel enlightened. Now, I do think Crawford has a shot and Errol Spence also has a shot, but just if we're judging boxing, not emotionally, but based on what we're seeing, you have to admit Errol Spence is disfiguring guys. So it looks like he is the more forceful puncher based on the status of his opponent's faces and breaking Kell Brook's orbital, etc. That's a mutual opponent they both had. Errol broke his orbital in his backyard when he was more relevant in the welterweight and to the welterweight division, right? And Errol's done the heavier lifting. So a lot of these breakdowns, they're missing me because it's like I'm missing the point. I don't get how you're gonna say Crawford his power is so devastating without saying that Errol Spence is a major puncher. And then you're using the airwaves to say that Crawford is going to stop him, but then you're saying that Crawford pulls back out and he can't do that while you're breaking down why Crawford would win. Like I said, it's just too many contradictions in one short interview for me. Like, you're saying Crawford, good nights, guys, and bing, 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 but then seconds later you say if Errol Spence can take them shots, then he can be in the fight. So nothing sounds congruent with the next thing. It just sounds all over the place. Like, he did say, to his credit, Tim Bradley did say it was a 50-50 fight, but I'm going off of the actual in-depth analytical breakdown and what you're saying in that and how you're breaking down the fight. Like, if you said, hey, it's a 50-50 fight and I'm picking Crawford, to me, that would have been better for Bradley because you're just giving your opinion. But as he tried to illustrate, or the actual breakdown, like, you got to look at, in a boxing fight, it's two guys in the ring for standard boxing fights, two girls in the ring. So it's a 50-50 chance really that your pick gets picked and you know that your pick is right. So what I refer to is how you're breaking down the fight, and does it make sense? The strengths that you're saying this guy has he shown that? Has he shown it recently? You know, the actual breakdown. And I'm not mad at anyone picking Spence or Crawford. That's not the issue. I'm just not understanding the interpretation in the breakdown. You say, oh, Terence Crawford would knock out Errol Spence, bing, 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 because guys, they change their world and, you know, throws their world upside down. But wouldn't that be the same case for Errol Spence? Especially since later in the interview, Tim Bradley said that Errol Spence is disfiguring guys. So you're admitting that you know that he is, like, you know, maiming guys' faces, but then you're only raving about Crawford's power. And I understand he has all knockouts, but he also has the weaker competition at the point that he fought the guy. He fought Amir Khan after Canelo knockout and Danny Garcia, fought Kell Brook, Sean Porter after Errol had already beat him 2-3 years before, etc. So I fail to understand a lot of these breakdowns, the actual breakdown. Again, I'm not mad at the who you're picking. It's the why that I do not understand. Subscribe to the channel. I'm the best doing it. And I'm out. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxing Ego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with a $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new, interactive, and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.